So let me start off by saying that I'm well aware that the movies I'm about to talk about are different interpretations of these characters than the comics, and there can be some differences because of that. However, what I want to talk about is what I consider to be the core of these characters. I feel like there's a kind of immutable center that belongs to both of these characters that movies, and the DCEU in particular, tend to get wrong. When you miss these fundamental parts of the character, then it basically seems like a whole different character at the end of the day. So let's talk about Clark Kent is a character that everyone thinks they understand. He's the big blue Boy Scout, and he's also an unkillable god. Except for Doomsday, the real one, not the shitty movie one. See, while these things are technically true, there's so much more to him than that. He's usually portrayed in movies in one of two ways. Either he's an insufferable do-gooder who's super boring, or he's a completely alien Christ figure, and for some reason, there's not a whole lot of middle ground. At the end of the day, Clark Kent was essentially born and raised in Kansas. Clark thinks of himself as Clark Kent before Superman or even Kal-El. The fundamental core of the person he is was shaped by Martha and Jonathan Kent. He would never dream of thinking of himself as better than others, or as a deity in any way. He lives his life one day at a time, just like everyone else. He makes mistakes, he learns. He's far from perfect. In fact, one of his main faults is that he's a little too much of a tryhard when it comes to saving people. He often ignores his personal life or skips out on important things to try to help people who need it. He knows in most cases he's the only person who can help, and it eats him up inside to think that he can't help everyone. This to me is a much more nuanced character than what we get in these movies. When I first saw Man of Steel, believe it or not, I didn't initially have an issue with Superman killing Zod at the end. To me, I saw it as Clark acting much more human than normal. In the heat of the moment, he made a split-second, desperate decision to just end Zod to save humanity. He realized in that moment that Zod was never going to back down, no matter what. And even if he had stopped him from killing those people right then and there, it wouldn't have stopped Zod from killing the rest of humanity. He knows it's a terrible option, and he screams in frustration and pain after he makes that decision. It's very powerful, theoretically. Unfortunately, I can't give the movie credit for doing this because in an interview at Comic-Con, the screenwriter said the point of the scene was teaching Superman not to kill. Also, subtlety and Zack Snyder are very well acquainted. Since when does Superman need to be taught that killing is wrong? Something his parents should have taught him as a kid. I'm just saying. Also, the Christ imagery in these movies, I hate it so much. There's no need for it, and I feel like Clark himself would hate it. I do understand that the people in this world would treat him like a god, but for fuck's sake, he does the Jesus pose out of a spaceship. It's just a bit heavy-handed. For me. Now, let's talk about Batman. Batman is another character who's often handled wrong. Most people's view of Superman is that Clark Kent is the disguise, and he's Superman at the end of the day. And that's wrong. That's Batman. Bruce Wayne doesn't call himself Bruce in his head. When his parents died in that alley, Bruce also died, metaphorically. The boy he once was ceased to exist. He was replaced by a hero that made a solemn promise that guides his every action. Never again. Those words should let you know where he's coming from and why he makes the decisions he does. He's always worried about making sure that people are saved from the grief and pain that he felt all those years ago. This is what led him to train a child and bring him into his personal war as a foot soldier 3 separate times. This is also the reason why he refuses to kill his enemies, no matter the amount of pain and suffering that they cause. Batman is not a man who would directly kill 10 people through the use of his car, an errant grenade, or a gun. I mean, really especially the gun. That's what killed his parents. Setting up the main conflict of this movie to essentially be, I don't like you, you kill people, so I'm gonna kill you extra hard. Just shows how much of a lack of understanding for Batman there is at play here. And don't even get me started on his I don't want to be the leader bit in Justice League. I mean, Batman, the poster boy for control freaks, would never give up that position. He would nominate himself and then he would dare the others to say no. At the end of the day, all comic book movies are basically Elseworld interpretations of these characters and events. If you enjoy them, then by all means, continue to enjoy them. But I feel like when you come from a flawed premise for characters as impactful as these, there's always going to be something off about them.